Well, an application for when I first saw his adhesive particles, I thought, geez, I don't know what I would do with that. Interesting, but I don't know what I do. And then I was singing in a church choir in North Presbyterian Church, North St. Paul, and I wanted to make markers for my music. They didn't want them to fall out because I stood up to sing one morning, and I'd mark the music at Wednesday night choir practice, and when I got up to sing, they'd fallen out. Everybody else was singing. I'm trying to find what page we're on, So if I wanted to make a marker, all the adhesives that I knew about at 3M, if you put them on paper, they'd tear the paper, wouldn't they? So here is a piece of tin plate. Now, if I try to pull this tape off the tin plate, I would bend it before I did it. But if I put sandpaper on this tin plate, it comes off easy, doesn't it? Any ideas why? Well, it's because if you may have had your hand up and I can't see you because I got a bit of lights in my eyes, I'm sorry. On the top is a conventional adhesive between two surfaces, and all of it is working. And on the bottom are the microspheres, now in the form of gumdrops. So they broaden the paper that is the Post-it note. And on the top, they're rounded. And so in the church choir, I thought, what if I take his adhesive particles and coat them on paper? If they're close together, it's going to be real sticky. If they're spread far apart, they won't be so sticky. So I've got to control that coating process. Here is a scanning electron micrograph of the microspheres coated onto paper fibers. And the rough surface that you see on there, on the paper fibers, is a primer that makes it stick to the adhesive particles stick to the paper. And these are very, very sticky. Here's one that is being pulled off of paper. They elongate way out before they let go. Now this adhesive is very good in shear strength. That is, if it's hanging on the wall, you pull like this, and it sticks very tightly, doesn't it? It doesn't come off. Pull it this way and peel, and it comes off very easily. So there's two different types of adhesion. This does both. I had the idea and was able to solve the primer problem. And then there's another coating on the backside called the backsize, so that the adhesive comes off of it easy. So it has to stick tightly to all types of writing materials, but not stick to the Post-it adhesive very well. Because if it's stuck real tight, then when you pull it off, it would curl the paper, and the note would stick up at an angle. So it seems like a simple product, but there's a whole lot of technology into it. Now, the customers don't care about what technology in it. They care about, will it work? And will it stay on there for years later? Will it not harm the paper and the letters and stuff that we put it on? So I had to make samples and do all that testing to make sure the product worked. And I did that by making it on just 6 inches wide and hand spreads this long. Then it was time to, when they passed all those tests, then it was time to try it out on a test sale basis. And this was the product that we made. We call it press and peel tape, and kind of a dumb name, but it got us started. And we started selling it in 4 cities. In Tampa, and Tulsa, Richmond, Virginia, and Denver. And, you know, it didn't sell very well. They said, don't give us all those colors, because I can make it in all those colors. These were the very first samples that I made, by the way, for bookmarks. And made the bookmarks and then discovered, hey, they're great for self-attaching notes and tapes and labels and all sorts of things. So we started selling it. It didn't sell very well, and we realized that it was because of words. When you have new to the world things, you don't have words to describe them, do you? So what did we do? We went to a fifth city, Boise, Idaho, and in Boise we handed out the same brochures that we'd had in the stores, but we simply put 10 sheets of Post-it notes in every brochure. People pulled them off, stuck them on things, wrote on them. Yeah, I like this. I know what I would use it for. And they went out and bought it. And sales took off in Boise. And before that, everybody thought sticky notes were a dumb idea. You know, the world's got along without them for thousands of years. What makes you think you can sell something that costs 10 times as much as scratch paper? But when we gave people samples, everybody's creative enough to find applications for them. We didn't tell them what to use it for. We just gave them samples. And they went out and bought it. And they started using it. And we had people that say, well, don't take it off the market. We'll pay even more money for it because we can't do our work without those self-attaching notes. Well, by that time, we had a team of people with skills in marketing and sales and cost accounting and patent legal and manufacturing and so forth. All the skills needed to make a business. Because we don't sell ideas, we sell finished products that work. That's what you want to buy. And so these are the people that could help us make a business out of Post-it notes. And it required building new equipment because none of the equipment that was needed or the chemistry that was needed to make Post-it notes existed. It all had to get invented. The machines to, the equipment to code it very, very precisely to maintain that spacing, I built that equipment in our lab shops at 3M. The equipment to make it into pads, like this. Everybody knew how to make sticky things in rolls at 3M, you know, for making tape. Nobody in the world, it turned out, knew how to make a pad out of sticky things. Pads before that, they'd take paper and they would jog the edges, and then they put the glue and the adhesive on the back. But when you've got an adhesive on the note, and you lay it down, you can't jog it because they stick to each other. So I had to invent an entirely new way to make these pads. And have you ever noticed in a pad, the part with the adhesive on it is no thicker than the rest of the pad? It's because that adhesive is incredibly thin. The total, if you took 100 sheets like this, the total thickness of the adhesive in all those 100 sheets would be less than the thickness of one sheet of paper. Why is that important? Because if it was as thick as a conventional adhesive, you'd have a big lump on the top. And so it's a very complex product, really. Simple to use, but yet it's very complex. And as such, sales now of Post-it notes is just amazing. People use them all over the world. When you create something new, you affect people's lives. You affect those people's lives that use it. You create lots of jobs. Thousands of people have jobs because of Post-it notes now. And so there have been awards and rewards for all of us who have taken part in it. This picture here was a Golden Step Award, that internal award that 3M has. There's the Carlton Award at 3M, another big award. And there's a National Medal of Technology that Spence and I got from President Clinton in the White House, and that was pretty cool. And then I was elected to the National Inventors Hall of Fame. And so I got to bring my whole family down to Washington, D.C., and I get invited back every year. So I get to meet all these wonderful inventors that invent the things that the inventor of the cell phone and just countless things. And they're just real people like myself. No, they're mostly pretty humble people. And why are we humble? Because you have to try so many things that don't work to find one that does work, that we just don't talk about all the things that don't work. So, with that, are there any questions?